Hello to all our wonderful students. We are today in a lesson that I don't know if I should use too many words, but this is the most important lesson. This is the lesson which creates a flip in the concepts. The lesson, there's none else besides him, and the entrance into this lesson is only with your heart. We want to start with a clip with Rav Leitman, which will give us the feeling and the perception and grasp direction through which what he says we will see and feel this lesson. Let's start with a clip, and then we will continue. Notice, concentrate your focus only upon one thing. Though you're noting many factors for your state, emotional, intellectual, current, corporeal, physical, in everything, at home, in your family, around you in the society, in the workplace, your different observation of life. You're thinking about the history, or all of a sudden you're thinking about what's going on today. All of a sudden some pleasures are ready for you to receive. All kinds of thoughts come to you. Someone's coming to maybe confuse you. You need to reveal behind all this which is influencing you from the outside, and also what's awakening inside of you as well, that there's none else besides him. There's only one cause, the source from which the commands come out to all the different parts of creation, which have no free will, no free choice. They have nothing. They are controlled by that upper force and influence you. It could be friends, it could be your manager at work, your wife, the children, your body with its health, the politics, wherever you are in the world, whatever's going on, the weather, your inner sensations, health. It all comes from that same one force through which all these factors, he is influencing you.
Okay, this clip we just saw of Rav Leitman is very much updated. Where should I look at you? Okay, because from Rav's last voyage to South America, there is very intensive voyage now of Rav Leitman with a delegation of friends from Israel. They're going throughout Southern and Northern America for 20 days. They're visiting many places, many groups in 20 days. They have 18 flights with Rav, and he landed in Colombia, Bogota, and immediately they started the Congress that happened during this weekend. There are many groups in Colombia, friends from all over Colombia came there, and without any invitation, we received a special lesson about there's none else besides him. It's as a preparation for our lesson. We don't know how to explain it, but probably Rav Leitman feels the special longing that you have, the new students, men and women in Europe. And every time before there's a new lesson, we always receive from him a gift, his preparation for the lesson that we are about to give. Just for your knowledge.
Between us, it works out that we prepare a lesson all week, and then we get a lesson exactly on that topic, and then we stabilize our whole lesson only towards the lesson which Rav gave us. So this is kind of interesting, and we are going to be reading a part of the article, There's None Else Besides Him. And this article is a part of a book which is called Shamati, or I Heard, It's actually a collection of articles which Bala Sulam gave in different opportune moments with his students. And Rabash, Rav Baruch Shalom Halevi Ashlag, his son, listened to them because the Rabash would write these words many times after Bala Sulam's lecture, and he was so adhered to Bala Sulam in his feelings, in his longings, that every word that Bala Sulam said simply were etched in his heart because he talked about states and very special discernments. And he simply wrote this down, he gathered it, and it was in a notebook. And when Rabash became a teacher already, a Kabbalist, he didn't show this booklet to anyone. He read it himself until Rav Leitman came along. That's the story.
Rav tells about it. Not long after he came to the Rabash, then Rabash gave him this notebook, handwritten, conversations and very special conversations that his father, Bala Sulam, used to give during lessons, and Rabash wrote them down, and he told him, took it. At first he didn't give him everything, he gave him only a few of the articles, and he told him, read it. And Rav copied it, gave it back to him, and started working with it. And then Rav tells a beautiful story about this time he was sitting there where they used to study with many more studies together with the Rabash, including students that were with him with Bala Sulam. So we're talking about very, very veteran students. They were all very old, and Rav Leitman came there. He was very young and a bit of an outsider. And all of a sudden, he was sitting and reading an article, and someone came down and asked him, what is it? And he showed it to him, and he asked, what is it? He never saw it before. And Rav, very naively, very innocently, he said, Rabash gave it to me. Take it. Make a copy. And when he told about it to the Rabash, he said, I gave it to one of the students, and Rabash was very angry. He said, this is a very special text for people who has a genuine desire to reach the Creator, and not everyone can work with them. This is one of the special things we have to understand about this book. We're going to devote this whole lesson to the first article from this book. But his whole book, Shamati, is the guide, is the main menu for man's inner work in his spiritual path. This is the protocol. In science, there is protocol. You're taking this pattern, and you know that if you're going through all these stages, then you are carrying out the experiment. It's the same thing here. This book is so special. It is so perfect, exalted, sublime, rare. Rav said many times that it's like one big article. It's not divided into 200 and something articles. Rather, it is simply one article going through all of man's inner state from the moment the point in the heart is awakened in him till the complete attainment, spiritual attainment.
Yes, and this book is the absolute best friend of every person who studies Kabbalah, because it all the time it doesn't matter which article you open up, it talks about my connection with the Creator. And though it doesn't talk here about friends and group and connection, when we start to work together on the different stages and states, the truth is that this book, just as Rav Leitman tells us, it's the white light. And the moment you open it and you read it, it's like you open it and you look at the states and say, oh, he wrote about me. He wrote about my state. You can all of a sudden see yourself in all these different states. And therefore this book is very important, and it's truly the whole series of states a person goes through until he comes into adherence with the Creator. And the anecdote about this book that he wrote, by the way, it is translated to English. It's not as a pocketbook, but it's a bigger edition, also in German, and soon it will be in Italian and other languages. Rav Leitman started to read in this book with truly cleaving onto it and prepared himself for the lessons with Rabash. And he told us that once Rabash saw that he was reading in Shamati, and he said that since his attitude towards me changed completely, meaning this book is pure surrounding light. So how are we about to read this article, which is called There's None Else Besides Him? And in general, when we read a book that a Kabbalist wrote, we need, we have been through several lessons already, we can talk. Look, in order to get the influence from the wisdom of Kabbalah in general, but from what a Kabbalist writes for us, we need to relate importance to it. Who is this composer? It's not just some guy that writes something, oh, it's interesting, it's like some kind of thing that we don't want to hurt anyone by saying so, but I want to feel that this author is great. He's everything for me. He has attained an exalted degree, Gar of Atzilut. And I want to be, like Rav Leitman says, it's like a piece of wood which is upon a big stream of water, and this is what I'm reading. And I don't want to enter my intellect and my memory and then I did this and then that. I don't want anything like that. I want to read this as a new matter which exists now. For this exists, and I want this to influence me without the intellect, without feeling, without critiquing, without kind of comparisons. I simply enter into this thing and want to feel it, the state from which he wrote, and less myself. Afterwards, in my next readings, I do add myself. I'll add my mind and my feeling in order to measure where I am in comparison with that state. But the truth is that I always want to hold on to that connection with the author, because we truly are connected to this great desire, that great soul, and simply through this article, through our simple desire, we'll want to be with him, to feel him, and to agree with him.
Well, after you're looking at me like this, so what? So I'm telling you,
to talk.
After such words, I feel like reading. I really do. I feel like reading this article.
Read it.
I was just given Shamati in German.
Because German is a little bit more of a language that
Okay.
it doesn't work that way.
Okay, in short, we want to read that article. I'm going to say one more thing about there's none else besides him. This article, we know there are 10 sefirot in the wisdom of Kabbalah. There are 4 bechinot of direct light, 4 phases of direct light. We talked a little bit about it. We'll talk about it more in the second semester. We have the beginning of everything, the root, the keter, the source, the very thought of creation, the essence, where we're headed, and this is where we want to live and be included in. And this article, there is none else besides him, is the expression of all that. This is the keter, this is the crown of all the articles of Shamati, and it folds in it all the articles, it folds in it all of man's work, all the states that one goes through in this spiritual path. And I think that also me, Moshe, Masha, and Sharon, and Yoram, and everyone here who serves this lesson now, read this article tens, even hundreds of times. We actually know it by heart. And still, every time when we read it, it is something else. It really is. Exactly like Moshe said, it is a simple light. It illuminates according to one state, and every time it knows how to hold him, embrace him, awaken him, and give him strength to keep on going on this path, which is very complicated many times. We can sit here and talk about the greatness of this article for 2 hours.
Okay, so I'll add another 5 minutes, just so we get the greatness of this article. we really want to try and talk only from our emotional aspect of this. Look, we're starting to feel how our own lives, we're doing actions that are already defined. It's life is pretty defined, predefined, and they're going in a certain direction. Even those fortune tellers who can tell you what's going to be, they can say, yeah, the reality is constant. We just don't feel this. We feel that we have some kind of free choice. And the system operates upon us, and we have thoughts and feelings, and we don't have any idea where this is coming from. We just feel, desire, want, and think that it's as if one is inventing this from oneself. It's not how it is. The thing is that this one system, the source from which all the thoughts and every come from, it doesn't push us to the good thing. It pushes us towards the crisis, to problems, to things that we don't want, towards directions that we don't want. And the truth is that it doesn't feel real to us. And the truth is, to be a human being, like we say, like an Adam, like similar to the Creator, it's one who gets that head, that doesn't agree with the automatic situation and the thoughts and desires that are just like that coming from the environment, but rather he chooses and defines on his own the head, the direction, the intention to which he will develop from himself towards spirituality. And to get that direction, the right establishment of this system, how I'm going to be and how I influence, this is why Baal HaSulam wrote this article for us. So I suggest we read it.
אנחנו נעבור בו חלקים, זה לא נקרא את כל המאמר, כבר אנחנו אומרים שיעורי בית, לקרוא את כל המאמר.
שיעורי בית לכל החיים, כן? כמה וכמה פעמים.
Homework for our whole lives. To read it several and several times. And I saw that whoever is in this article and always takes it as a reference to his life, to the states that he's in, every single moment truly advances.
We will clarify it during the lesson. So it says this, there's none else besides him. It's Shamati, article in Shamati. He says this. This is what Baal HaSulam says. It is written, there is none else besides him. This means that there is no other force in the world that has the ability to do anything against him. And what man sees, that there are things in the world that deny the higher household, and the reason is that this is his will. And it is deemed a correction, called the left rejects and the right adducts, meaning that which the left rejects is considered correction. Perhaps we should read it again. Let's read it again. It is written, there is none else besides him. This means that there is no other force in the world that has the ability to do anything against him. And what man sees, that there are things in the world that deny the higher household, the reason is that this is his will. And it is deemed a correction, called the left rejects and the right adducts, meaning that which the left rejects is considered correction. So what does he say here? Basically, in a very simple way, Baal HaSulam tells us, it is written, there is none else besides him. We have a very profound perception, a different approach to life. It can seem similar to the approach of religion and different approaches that we learn, that we know, but soon we will understand in what it is different and how it is completely a new approach for life. The essence of this approach is that there is one force leading me and everything is him. Soon we will explain what does it mean that everything is Him. But notice, he doesn't say that there's one force, one unique and unified. There are many verses. He could have written, I, the Lord, change not. He chose that there is none else besides Him. Meaning that everything that I see and feel in life and all the incidents that are happening to me, different things, different scenes, different situations in life, between me and the environment, within myself, things that I feel and experience, things I think about, things that I want, everything, including everything, comes from one source. There's none else besides Him. There's more to it, but let's take it slowly.
And despite in my perception they appear to me, I see the world, I see a dog barking here are neighbors yelling at someone, here I read in the newspaper that something's happening in some country, I hear voices and sounds. I'm operated by many things, both feeling and mind. Baal HaSalam is directing us to grasp our whole life, to realize that all of this is one force which is operating on me. That's it. There's not a multitude. Therefore, there's none else besides Him. It's all the forces and seemingly different sources that are coming to me, they're all one force which is operating on me. And it's not just like that, but this is how I need to begin establishing my perception, my reality, because this is where the whole of our spiritual work begins. Otherwise, I fall into all kinds of imaginations and thousands of different things. This is where spiritual attainment begins, from the effort to be in this. And why does he say that there is no other force in the world which can do anything against him? And he even says, blessed. First of all, these words, blessed, I don't know how it's in other religions. In our religion, it sounds like some word that is said. We're talking about the quality of bestowal, the property of bestowal, where blessing means that the force of bestowal will spread on the world, expand in the world, and more parts of the soul will identify with it and reach that. That is called may he be blessed, because it will spread in all the world. And why against him? Why specifically against him? Because we cannot attain the quality of bestowal if not from the opposite state, as this is one quality of bestowal and it's good, and I, through the beginning of attainment of it, from a complicated, messed up picture in life, I all of a sudden attain the opposite state, a lot of things, and it's not good and benevolent. And from this I start to tighten up my perception of my life and try to find that one thing. And despite the fact that all the parts in creation, where in the beginning it's really confusing, but my wife and his wife and you and your husband and the cameraman and the dogs and Rav Leitman himself and what I'm saying now and my thoughts, everything is managed not by them, not that they're controlling this, it's all him who is controlling them, and it's unbelievable, but he's managing them towards me. And why? So that I will reach the recognition and perception of him and to identify with this matter. That's the whole purpose. It's unbelievable, but this is what the whole world was created for the person, meaning for me, for you. And if I add the wisdom of Kabbalah to my life, as we always advise you, you start seeing a whole new focus with this whole combination of incidents, and I start to see that, especially through this world, through this life that he gave us, this is the means to attain him, and not just some kind of disturbance. Then I start to see the actions of this force upon me through all the cases that this specifically, life itself, despite all the confusions that it seems to me like I need to achieve this and that, no, everything is meant just so that through the right sight I will discover the place of the upper force, and this is what the Kabbalists tell us. The whole world, there's such a song with the sentence, the whole world is a very narrow bridge, and the main thing is not to fear at all, meaning to direct myself through that perception. Everything was meant for that goal.
Can I ask something about the text?
Even 1,000.
I was waiting because you told me to wait, but there are so many texts about the text. Luigi from Italy, he's asking, if he can get this book in Italian.
Allora, Luigi, we are in these stages of preparation of this book, and you're invited to enter into our site, Kabbalah.info, in the language that is suitable to you, and to download this article. You can download this article. I am pretty sure it is translated to most of the languages. It's translated, and there is it in Italian.
Yeah, open it and read it in your own language when we read it here. And Monica from California and Erika from Holland are asking, what is left, what is right, and why is it written that the left rejects?
I guess we'll get to that. It's not...
Okay, it's not for now, but we'll touch it during the lesson. We'll tell you during the lesson, okay? What else?
Yes, it's yet to be discovered.
There are many questions because it is very hard to understand this concept of there's none else besides him.
Wait, so we summed this? Remind us what we
have an
agreed.
agreement that I sit here and keep silence. I don't know, there's an agreement that we'll end the first two paragraphs.
No, that's not the agreement. We agreed in the beginning of the lesson that we are now flowing with the article. We're flowing with the author. We're with him. He's saying, I don't know, left, right. It seems to me like it's, I don't know what, it's a car that's signaling, I don't know what. I'm imagining? Leave that. We are now entering with Bala Sulam into this article. We want to, it's really so important to clothe upon ourselves a new picture. In the beginning, I don't know what it is. It's some kind of shadows. It's a fog. I don't know what it is. It's fine. I want to bring this picture upon myself slowly.
Do you want to continue reading?
I want to add one more thing. Actually, why does Bala Sulam there write that there are things in the world which deny the household of above?
And what is the higher household?
Yeah, it's like things that I don't perceive. I don't grasp them. We talked many times that when we talked about the level of the roots, that there are things that there's one force, meaning we're going to draw it this way. There's one force which creates a desire, and it fills the desire. We have never entered, actually, into the understanding that what does it mean he fills the desire? It looks like a pretty diagram here. Here I write Boré, or creator. Here I write desire. And it seems like, it's wonderful. He filled it up with light, and that's all nice. But what does that mean? If we're talking about there's none else besides him,
it means that if this light, this whole thing here, it's a simple light. What does it mean, simple? It's an abstract light, meaning you cannot perceive it because it is eternal, because it is infinite, because it is whole, because it is... Well, because we need to have some contrast in order to grasp it. Only out of some oppositeness can we get it. So what do we need then? We need for that kli, for that vessel, to be not such a round, complete, clean vessel in which, if we can imagine it in such a corporal way, there is a fulfillment in it. Because otherwise, which kind of discernments we will have then? Meaning, I must have a kli where in the very essence of that kli, I have an ability to measure things. I have an ability to discern things. I have some tiny perception from which I can climb from one attainment to another, from one attainment to another, from one degree to another, from one degree to another, which eventually will reveal to me the complete perception. Meaning that kli has to be like this. You see, filled with cracks and it has all kind of pieces where for each piece the light glows on it. Let's suppose that this is the vessel.
לא. פה מתלבש האור.
So here, this is where the light closes in, but it closes on something.
בציור אחר אפשר
In a different diagram, we can do it this way.
מחשבת הבריאה,
We have the thought of creation here,
כאילו כוח אחד,
one force, eternal, whole, infinite, complete, and we have no ability to attain it. And in order for us to be able to attain it, it splits up into many, many phenomena.
מה התהליך שאנחנו צריכים
What is the process that we have to go through from below upward? Unification.
לעשות לגישה
To
מול הפנים שלנו, מול
enter an approach to put in front of our face and heart this compass. Soon we will understand where it is. This is something very practical. This thing which is called there's none else besides him. Meaning that everything, including everything that happens to me,
אני יודע
I know
לקשור לכוח אחד.
how to connect it to this one force. Through all these phenomena which I experience in life, I want to feel that everything comes from one source, and not only that it all comes from one source, rather that this is blessed be He, meaning that His entire essence is a complete and absolute perfect benevolence. He only wants to bring me to a level where I will be able to live inside of Him, to identify with Him, to understand everything He had created, and to see how everything is eternal, whole, and complete.
And now we're going to understand two things that we always talked about. First of all, at the level that the light fills the whole Kli. Before we entered into these serrated pieces that draw. What is this? The truth is, it's like our situation. The light fills the whole vessel, means that it controls 100% upon everything that the vessel wants. I want something, I think something, it's the light which is operating me. I don't even know this. Even furthermore, my initial state in which I don't have any connection with him or with the wisdom of Kabbalah, he causes me to think that this is what I want, that there's me, there's not him, there's nothing. And we will see in our second semester that the light controls all the future development states of a creature. That all of a sudden I want to give, to receive in order to give, not to receive at all, to create a connection with the Creator. This is all arranged by the Creator and controlled 100% by Him. And then we ask, how do we get to Atzilut? How do we reach independence of the creature? And this is exactly what we talked about, maybe theoretically, now we can understand it more emotionally, the matter of concealment. That through the system of the worlds and Sfirot and Partzufim, slowly this disappears. This is exactly the concept of denying the household of above. Just as Amit added here, we can maybe add here the 5 worlds. And the more we go down, this is how it appears to us as more and more forces, the one source seemingly disappears, and I'm here with many, many things which operate upon me, and I don't even grasp that. So what do you think? Our purpose is to cancel that concealment? It's a question. The truth is that no, not at all.
Why not?
I'll tell you.
It is written in the essence of the wisdom of Kabbalah that the whole purpose of the wisdom of Kabbalah is to reach the revelation of His godliness to His creatures in this world.
Do you see? That's why I love Amit so much, because he brings it up to me so I can, it's like he raises it for me and prepares it for me. Thank you, Amit. The thing is that without the concealment, without all these serrated parts and the different phenomena, how would I grasp? What would I grasp? It would be a simple light and that's it. There's no perception at all. specifically through the concealment, through the picture of the world which is established before me, with all that's happening there, specifically from there, I can, in the right direction, in the right place, like Amit said, through the right connections, through clothing upon myself, this sight to discover in each and every incident, in each and every case and feeling, in the smallest thing. I hear some sound in the street, I don't know what, the influence of the Creator upon me, that He wants to connect with me and to talk to me. And in that, by me put upon myself more and more the quality of bestowal, the quality of the Creator. This whole reality, this whole life begins all of a sudden, like out of the fog, out of the obscurity, all these phenomena, I start to realize that it's all Him. And then all the disasters that we know of, and the murders and wars that I have grasped in my broken, shattered perception, I start to see and to truly feel that there is none. There's only one force. There's only one reality, and it's a force, and it's good and benevolent. But how did I discover this? Specifically through the concealment. And how do we do this? Well, if everything will disappear, also my perception would disappear in this. Therefore, we say it's like the stereogram picture, the 3D picture. If you erase all the dots, you lose the depth. That's why we say love covers all transgressions, meaning the multitude of cases and disasters and so on. Specifically upon that, I clothe love, meaning my perception and His revelation.
I wanted to connect it to what we spoke of during the semester. We mentioned it a few times before. This is the matter of the states: first, second, third state, 1, 2, 3, the 3 arrows. So if we have here the thought of creation, which Kabbalists call good and benevolent, the absolute good that wants to benefit his creatures, and he creates this state called the first state. We were there before. We were in that state, and seemingly, I don't understand why you don't remember it. To be in a state where we're already filled with the light of Ein Sof, yeah? Because seemingly, if the Creator, if He wishes to create a creature and to fill him up, so He did it already. So the moment He thought He wanted to create His creatures, so He already did create a creature and filled him up with the light of Ein Sof. Meaning there is this general creature that was already filled up with the light of Ein Sof. We were there, filled with the light of Ein Sof. Do you remember that? Why don't you remember that? It's like we can ask every one of us, how did it feel like in your mother womb? How was it? Nobody remembers, right? But I can tell you a secret. It was perfect. It was Ein Sof. It was infinite. It was like being inside a place where there are no worries, troubles, and you're being taken care of with everything you need. You float in this golden warmth that covers you and cares for you, and everything is fine. Sometimes there are little pressures, but actually everything is perfect, really perfect. But we have to be born anyway and to disconnect from that state. Why? Because this tiny pleasure, which is infinite, the fetus in his mother's womb, he feels infinite. He's nothing. He's worthless. Why? Because he doesn't have the consciousness, the awareness, self-acquiring of that thing. We are here in complete nullification, and we don't understand, we don't feel what we understand, or don't understand what we feel, or don't feel, and so on and so forth. Therefore, we need to create a concealment. And this is exactly the entire essence of this article, and how it gives us the foundation of how to work with this concealment. We, in the process of concealment, have reached a state where we are studying here, the entire humanity, every one of us. We're all helpless. We don't know what to do, where the world is headed, where my life is going to. How can I feel good? What are with all these problems that are coming my way and will escalate? And then comes this article, there's none else besides him, and reconnects us into this whole thing called the one single force that makes everything happen. And then here,
את אותו מצב
we attain the same state
שהיינו פה במצב
in which we were in the first state. This is the second state, but that state, I marked it with red. We acquire it ourselves,
בעצמנו.
by ourselves.
אני אוסיף על זה רק עוד משהו, מה השגנו בזה?
I will just add one more thing to this. What have we achieved? What have we attained? Here there was something that was called Rosh, the head, the thought of creation. We were not here. We start from here. We are already in a perfect state, but we have no attainment of the thought of creation, of the reasons why I was created, for what? What's the whole goal? I'm kind of like a fetus without any feeling, completely filled and blocked. And after we acquire for ourselves the perception of there's none else besides him, here we acquire the whole Rosh, the whole head. We truly identify with it. So there is plenty to expect, and I really, really want that before we move to our next piece, Masha.
Yes, so there are so many questions. Most of them starts with, if there is none else besides him, then, okay, then. First of all, Erica from Italy is asking, if there is none else besides him, so what about the bad things? The really bad things.
Oh.
Okay, so, and if there is none else besides him, Mayan from Paris is asking, so how can it be that I feel so empty from within? How can there be such emptiness if there's none else besides him? So are we all robots? Asking Nick from London. And John from the UK is asking, if there's none else besides him, so who am I? Am I the creator? Help us out. Four together, because there are so many questions.
You know what I recommend?
What?
Let's move to our prelude where we talk about from concealment to revelation, and we'll start talking about all those things, about all those questions. We promise to answer one after the other.
Pure delight.
טוב, מאסתר לגילה.
Okay, from concealment to revelation.
So from concealment to revelation, so concealment is wonderful, and all the situations that you've mentioned. How could it be that there are disasters in the world, not just bad? Or then who am I?
Hold on a minute. If everything, including everything, is him, meaning every physiological, neurological process, everything that happens within me is him, every psychological process, every interaction is him. So what am I? Am I the creator?
Am I the creator at all?
Yeah. John from UK is asking exactly that.
Yeah, it's John from UK. We're kind of repeating his question even more, furthermore. Meaning I look, and I'm going to add to what you said, John. If I look at the situations in my life, then, I'm like a machine. I was created, and I look at my actions, and I'm like, according to my actions, the artist who created me is not so great. I'd say even he's pretty problematic, because we don't just look at the table that came out crooked. We don't say the table's crooked. We say the artisan who made the table is problematic. Baal Haslam talks exactly about that question in the introduction to the Book of Zohar, exactly about such questions.
And if there's none else besides him and everything comes from him, so why doesn't he like me so much to make such bad things happen to me instead of good things?
Right, where's the good? Let me fill up already. What? I came to the wisdom Kabbalah. Where's the filling? Where's this light that they say? I understand you. I'm like that too. We're all like that. The truth is that we need to reach that perception. And this is actually how these whole questions that the upper force is awakening us also is a way for us to renew our search for him. Otherwise, we wouldn't want to search. Because that state that we're just filled, we're just kind of like a dummy. We just sit there like that. We have no reason to search for him. And he created this whole reality only in order for us to feel with with every iota of our existence, that there is none else besides Him. That we will come to the absolute perception and adherence. That's the most important thing. There's nothing more important. And this is how this force one day wakes up John and Mayan, and they start becoming not satisfied with their life the way they are, the way it is, and they start moving and ask questions. And the point in the heart of theirs, of ours, leads us towards a search. Doesn't matter if through different places, disappointments, successes. Eventually, it leads us to a course. Seemingly, incidentally, I have some common friend, Oded. The truth is, right now, he's a reservist right now in Gaza. It's a good opportunity for us to think about him. He was traveling, backpacking in India. And there he received a newspaper someone gave him from the Baruch organization there. And he's just going out there. And though I didn't choose it and I didn't want it, but we've come to some course. And from here onwards, the period begins, which is called the period of preparation. I don't know what there is none else besides Him. I still grasp many forces in the world, my friends, my boss, the incidents upon which I read in the newspaper, the fact that I still feel that I'm existent, free, I have thoughts and decisions of my own. And I hear there Amit and Moshe, Rav Leitman, they're saying all kinds of things. That's okay, but life continues. And I came to Kabbalah to acquire something good, to get. I heard there's good things, the ability to develop. This is the initial state of ours. And then we start to learn. To learn together. And to start reading the writings of Kabbalah. And this is the advice we always gave in the beginning of the lesson. This is Rav Leitman's advice. Without us noticing, the light begins to change us. It starts changing our perception, and gradually, slowly, we start to establish for ourselves a reality which is different than that which we started with before we came. You'll start looking, Mayan from Paris, or Mick, or whoever was there a few lessons ago, and who there are later. You simply won't identify that person anymore. It's unbelievable what a change that will occur. And all of a sudden I start to see the world which is changing for me. I hear about the Creator, about the one force in this lesson, and I start to try and stabilize and to direct myself with the help of these things. And I hear slowly, oh well, I guess I can't wait all my life and these things will come to me. You need to learn a little bit, you need to invest, to write something on Facebook, to see the lessons. Well, what can you do? It doesn't come like that, then I have to exert somewhat.
You make an exertion, and we understand it in a very simple way, very clear way also. In our life, this is how our nature is arranged, like there are no free lunches. We have to pay for everything. If you want fame, well, fame costs, right? Also, so right here is where you start paying it. So wrote the poem. What does it mean? It means something very simple, that we, in this path, we now begin to understand that in order to attain the Creator, in order to attain the revelation of the Creator, which is something, well, you can put it in words, it's nice, but what is it? What are we talking about here? We can work our whole life in order to be enslaved to a piece of respect or some more zeros in our banking account or some desires that will be fulfilled. But what are we talking about here when we're talking about spirituality?
That's exactly what Tamara from Barcelona is asking. How can we even imagine to ourselves this Creator which we're talking about, this upper force?
Exactly. It is so big. It is so unperceived that where is our point of grip here? And here we come, as Moshe mentioned, we come to the matter of the study, books, and the people who have attained the Creator, who have attained that degree. What does it mean? We can believe that there is a creator, we can believe that there is God, we can believe that He is good and benevolent. It's all very nice, but this is not the way of Kabbalah. Bala Sulam writes about it in the first article we've studied in the first lesson. A judge knows only what his eyes can see. We relate to everything in a very, very practical way. What I feel, this is what I've got. If I feel creator, meaning if I live in a picture, in a being, in this life perception, where all my senses, everything that I'm going through, is adhered to this upper force, the creator, and I have no past, present, or future, and everything that I'm going through, everything I come in contact with, I ascribe everything to me, and me is everything outside of me, and there is no difference, and it is all one. Excuse me, I'm being too emotional. Well, in short,
that's exactly what I wanted to say.
I can keep on going, but this is not the state. Let's be honest and understand that this is not where we are, meaning there is no creator in our world. So if there's no creator in this world, so we say there is no creator, so there is no creator. Hold on a minute. But we are saying that there is a creator, and it is written that there's none else besides him, that he is the only one existing. So how do I connect those things? This is the compass Bala Sulam writes about, and this is what we start developing in this point where we are in this path, after the light started shining upon us. So, okay, Kabbalist in spiritual attainment. So now I have to hold on to something, that I'm holding on to something where my heart, not in a rational way, he tells me, that person, that Kabbalist, the one who wrote that text, he have attained it. I don't know why, don't know how, against every logic, doesn't matter where he came from, where he lived, and what words he's using, which language. I feel something there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here. I've been here, I'm here for 9 lessons. We're together virtually. What is it? It's not an obvious thing. Look at it and understand that your heart is connected to it internally. But what is it connected to? It is connected to something that is called a faith in the sages. It is connected to something that not even me, Moshe or Rav Lightman, it is connected to the root of the root of the root of the root. It is really connected to the source that stems through all the chains of Kabbalists and echoes in this resonance in your point in the heart, telling you, here is your home. Here you will find the source. Here you will reach wholeness. Here you will attain the purpose of your life. But all of a sudden, during the lessons and the path you're going through, all of a sudden you're starting to wonder and to have doubts and ask yourselves, perhaps yes, perhaps no. I feel like it, I don't feel like it. What is it?
I want to read exactly about that, to continue a little bit and to see how we're helped, so that we won't remain in that thought, oh, okay, I read, there's nothing else besides him. Okay, look at what Bala Sulam writes, continuing onwards. The first paragraph he says, and this is the matter of correction, which is considered left rejects and right adducts, meaning that which the left rejects is considered correction. This means that there are things in the world which, to begin with, aim to divert a person from the right way, and by which he is rejected from sanctity. And the benefits from the rejections is that through them a person receives a need and a complete desire for the Creator to help him. Look at what things begin to happen to us from the moment that we started to study the wisdom of Kabbalah. It's an amazing thing, because the moment we entered under the influence of the system, the surrounding light which we have connection with, the world begins to change. It's an amazing thing. I am certain that you've seen, but at that point, so that we don't just remain in some intellectual concept here, the light starts working on our desire. The light starts working on my perception of life. It starts playing inside of me on my thoughts and feelings and upon everything that I feel outside in my life. And these influences which come to me, let's say I'm starting to look at all the life through there's no one else besides him, in a second I will see. I don't have to hold on to it for even a second. My whole life completely spreads that concentration. The influences are so powerful. All of a sudden a certain game begins with me that I don't think that it's the creator, and it's all of a sudden my wife and the neighbor. I don't manage to see this. It's much more powerful, and all of a sudden it kind of annoys me. I used to be okay with these things. Now all of a sudden I'm all storming about this. I have emotions about it, and I don't know what's going on. Where does it happen? It's like I can't even concentrate. Oh, again, or there's no one else besides him. It also loses its flavor, and that's the help. That's the left. The left is all which rejects me from this concept. But why? We will see that it can be used in such a way that it's specifically a correction. And I start to study the wisdom of Kabbalah, and I don't know how it was with you, but before that I could study about projectile astral things and walk with yoga on slippers and the top of a tree, and I don't know even want to say how. And everyone said, oh, wonderful, so he's doing. All of a sudden, they came to the wisdom of Kabbalah. Wait, Opa, what are you doing? That's not okay. All of a sudden, you feel that specifically here, for some reason, there's no reason for it, but all of a sudden, I'm going against the opinion of the world. All in all, the whole world is kind of laughing about this, disparaging this concept of the quality of bestowal. There's none else besides him. Because I see the whole world is behaving opposite to this. And only I feel myself, maybe even in relation to my family, as if I'm lonely, trying to hold on to this matter. And all of a sudden, life becomes kind of difficult. It's like an effort.
There are many students who are talking about it. Roberto from Germany is asking that he's much tired. He wants to sleep a few times a day. Is it related to this surrounding light you're talking about?
It could be, and it could be that not. How do we know that it is? We'll talk about that in a second, because in relation to what am I fatigued and tired and want to sleep? It could be that it's a physical issue. We will touch on that in a moment, but this thing, the light also starts to play with me from within. I start to learn the course. How much do we start to learn? 9,000. Immediately the light scrutinizes the vessels. Immediately those that don't have a desire, a strong desire, they came to search in the Kabbalah for, I don't know, filling, honor, success, some kind of additional knowledge and telepathy or magia or other things, and they were disappointed and went to something else. And only those who remain, and also those who remain, we start to get all of a sudden ups and downs of importance. All of a sudden, wow, Kabbalah, how wonderful, I'm looking on Facebook and nice to listen. And all of a sudden, it disappears, empty. I don't even have an attitude to this thing. I don't want to hear about it. I'm even angry at, what? You destroyed my life with that Kabbalah, what? And nevertheless, that same person discovers that that point within attracts him and doesn't let him go. And it's the luck, by the way, because otherwise one could lose here. But in the end, it's like, I just have to have this. The states from within and from without, they come. And why am I telling you all this? Because the point in the heart starts to show its action under the influence of the light, where there's none else besides him begins to operate upon us and be with us in connection.
There's a very important point that comes here from few students. You talked about something that is called faith in the sages. And especially in such an article, it is very hard to understand what is the difference between believing like in religion. John from UK is asking that in different ways, and Nick from London, and Rosie also. UK.
Also from London, from England.
People from UK are really interested in that. So, what is faith in the sages unlike religion? And if we don't see a creator in the world, so how can we talk about Something like that, Nick is asking. And Rose is asking, most of the forces, we can measure them, we can see some opposite forces. Here we don't even know how to approach it. So give us an explanation. What's the difference? Rosie, Nick, all of our dear friends, we are in lesson number 9, right? We have learned for quite few lessons during this course, and we talked about a rule. How do we come to attain the Creator? Through what? Well, I can't hear you. We can't hear them.
We can't hear them. It's that heavy British Cockney
Where are
accent.
they from, by the way? UK, but there are different places in the UK. They
He's
probably
from
come from
Sherwood Forest.
Okay. So those questions are questions that indicate point out to the correct emotional, internal need of the point in the hearts who are asking, so what am I doing? And there's an answer for it. We already spoke about it. And see how elusive it is. It doesn't stick around because it's a bit against our ego. And where can we find the answer? I'm saying it this way because I'm mocking myself also. Because we know it, we've been through it. This is the beauty of this path. And during the lesson, we'll see how this whole thing is one big Disneyland. The way to truly know this one abstract force which is above the concealment, which generates all the consequences which I cannot grasp because it is abstract, it fills up the entire reality. Where is it? Where does it come from? We said it a few times already. The Creator, He created some creature, and He dwelled in him and broke him, so that we, in the process where we correct this shattering. And what is the correction of the shattering? This is the process of correcting our relationship. If we start understanding that in order to attain that there's none else besides Him, I need an environment. You remember the lesson about the freedom of choice? We said that I have no ability to choose anything if I don't have the environment that will help me choose spirituality correctly. And actually, I'm inside an environment that constantly makes me choose and decide and to march in physical directions. I don't need it, but I want it nonetheless. I don't want it, but perhaps I do want it, because my friends and my neighbors, they have such things. And here I feel the need for an environment of points in the hearts who feel and are directed to the attainment of this single force, of that single reality, that there is nothing else except for that single thing. And in order to attain that, we all starting to understand that we need mutual support from one another. And actually, in that mutual support between us, we will discover that in that mutuality, that is called the mutual guarantee between us, we have created a new vessel in which can we discover the Creator. Why? Because we operated according to the law of equivalence of form. We, between us, despite the fact that me and Moshe are opposite, and I'm like this, he wants that, and Masha wants that, and now I want something else. We don't care. We set the goal above everything. This is one goal, and that goal is sacred. That goal is something sublime, exalted. This is our compass. There is none else besides Him. Then doesn't matter what exists between us. Doesn't matter what happens. We want to support everything. We want to support each other above everything else. We want to cleave onto that goal. And then, with such relationship between us, we build a new emotional vessel, which is above our emotions, because it is against what I now feel. I don't want to see you. Walk away. Take a high. Don't be here. And also, Masha, what? Why are you talking to me? Don't want to hear you. Don't want to see you. Don't want to talk to you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. No, no, no. Against all that, all I want is to understand that the one who sends such thoughts to me, such feelings to me, it all comes from the Creator. And why? Because He's flirting with me. He's telling me, hey, if you know it comes from me, then you will know how to ask about this, how to be connected to Him correctly.
That's exactly what Jacques from Saint-Étienne from France is asking. We need to pray and truly ask for the help of the Creator, or can we just come to that alone? Well, in a second we will see what it means. Well, first of all, alone, I'll tell you already, if we show the diagram, alone, I am in the initial state. We have, what's his name, Jacques? Okay, so that's, we're going to respect Jacques, and we're going to write Jacques Lucien. So we have Jacques. And Jacques is in a situation where the light is operating upon him. Jacques has no resistance. The light is giving him operations and commands through desires and thoughts of what? Fill yourself. And Jacques is happy. No problem. I'll try to fill myself. How? At the expense of others, of course. That is the system at the moment, which is called Jacques. And each here in this world, Rosie asks, why don't I feel him? We talked only a week ago. It's amazing that we forgot. It's actually very natural that we forgot. It's a very good sign.
Yeah. And it's funny because Rosie is exactly writing about it. Where's the proof? And
right, so Rosie is asking, Rosie says, why am I not feeling? A week ago, we learned that specifically our whole sensation, our whole perception is through resistance. And if the light operates on me and gives me the command to receive, and I know that it's me and I want to receive, I have no connection with the light. I simply want commands, and that's it. But if for a moment I would resist somewhat to the action of the light, then it could be that I would start to feel him. But what does it mean to resist? And this is where the whole world errs. All the religions, all the beliefs, all the faiths. So I will fast, I won't receive, I won't want, here I'll resist, and he operates me. How do I come out of that attitude, that relationship? And even furthermore, a question that we were asked, Bala Sulam said to me, so I say, thank you very much, I believe to Bala Sulam, and that's it, I do, right? We will learn about this. This is called faith below reason. There's our reason, there's blind faith, there's my reason. I don't perceive. Someone taught me once that there's some big grandfather in the heavens and all kinds of stories, and if I'll be bad, he'll punish me, and so on. And I didn't check. I didn't say, oh, did you check that thing? I said, I got like that, put my eyes over my eyes. Why did I do like that? Because it was good for my will to receive. And they told me, if you'll be good later, yeah, you're going to get. Right, because that's why I'm willing to do actions all my life, till I die. You know, the old people that to the last of their days, they remain completely cleaved on. Why? The desire that over there something will happen. They don't check this all their lives. And the moment I enter, well, I don't want to get into that explanation, but let's say very shortly, that the faith of wise is that I'm in my reason, and I see what there's no else besides it. And what are you talking about? Just like Rosie's asking, very healthy, excellent. I don't perceive any creator, very right, and say that
And also bad.
And he's also bad, and even if he was, he's disastrous and horrible. Because look what he's doing in the world, right? Wonderful. And what is he doing to me? I'll leave the world. Look at my life. Look at what he's doing to me. If he exists, look at my life. So now I take the article of Baal HaSulam and I try to start to see through him the reality. That's all. Now, where do I see this reality? How? What? Just like that? There's no one else besides him. This cop now stopped me. You're not a cop. You're the creator. Oh, give it up. I'm not going to get a speeding ticket right now. Come on, don't tell me that you're... Try to tell me you're not a cop. And you're going to finish also in some kind of... by Sherwood Forest there in some insane asylum somewhere. So how do I exit myself? How does Jacques exit himself? And here we have the group. And in this group, which is an assembly of points in the heart, which unite amongst them to create that same longing towards the center where the Creator is, when I make all the efforts against my desire, against the commands which are operating on me, and I want to exit with my point in the heart, and through the books and everything, I exit to them. What does it mean I exit them? I want to connect with them, which is against the command of the light, which says, oh, connect to yourself in order at their expense. Then I start to feel the actions of the light upon me, which I don't want, and it operates on me, and then it operates against the new direction that I want to define for myself in life. And there exactly is the place of the group. And when I start to enter into the group and to work, all of a sudden I start to see the world like some big theater. I start to see how all the people that I was truly afraid of, the boss and the cop and all that, as kind of puppets, marionettes on strings. They're simply operated completely. Me too, but I see it. And I see how the whole world is controlled as one move, which is focused to a new place in my reality. And what is that place? It's here, in the connection between us. This focus place, this new place in our life, which we will discover. Sorry. We're going to do it like this. Is this? There's none else besides him. That's my new focus in my life, and that's where I find it. And I start to feel that all the incidences that occur for me in life, doesn't matter what, in order to understand them and feel the attitude of the Creator, I need to begin in being there, with my inclination towards there. And only from that, we'll start talking about this in a moment, only out of this I begin to feel that all the actions of the Creator upon myself, the incidents that we talked about, the world's laughing about there's no one else besides him, and the Kabbalah and the resistance and all these states and everything, it's all in relation to a new compass, the focus, and that is the group.
But if I understand that everything comes from the Creator, it means that I have to accept it also. And Rudu from Paris is asking, suppose there are wars, even that I know that it's from him, should I accept it? Will I advance if I will accept everything? What does it mean to accept everything?
Amit taught me how to do that, like that with my hand.
This gesture of a flamenco dance. What does it mean to accept it?
Like not to do anything in order to change this. There's a war. Wonderful. I'm not doing anything.
Hold on a minute, just a sec. There are a few things here. It's to accept it intellectually or emotionally, or to accept it in the level of actions, my response to what I experience in reality. These are different layers. Now, first of all, we should always remember we are emotional creatures, meaning we are pieces of emotion. Behind these protein bodies and electrolytes, there's a will to receive. There is an emotion which is much more complicated than the feelings that we now experience in life, because it unfolds in it much higher emotions which we didn't revealed yet. And this is a spiritual feeling. We have that too inside the will to receive. So when I'm saying now there are wars, now we're in a very, very unpleasant state here in Israel, very difficult. What does it mean to accept the fact that there's a war going on? That it comes from Him. How can I accept that? I accept it intellectually, I accept it emotionally, and what do I do about it? So these are three different layers. I can tell to myself, okay, it's written, there's none else besides Him, so it all comes from Him. Meaning everything that is happening here, great suffering in both sides, it all comes from the Creator. It probably comes to serve some purpose. It probably comes for me. I can do this whole work in my mind and to understand that it is here to direct me to the purpose of creation. But what about the emotion? How should I react to it emotionally? And if that war is affects dear people to me who are wounded or killed, I see the pictures also from the other side. Kids, what do I do about it? Can I really feel that He's good and benevolent because there's none else besides Him and He's good and benevolent? If no, then what does it mean that I say that there's none else besides Him? It's from the lips outside. So what do I do then? Do I feel this gap or not? In Kabbalah, in that wisdom, in that path, we are required to be very honest with ourselves and to relate to our emotions and to the processes we're going through in life, like scientists, to look at ourselves from the side, from the outside, and to see what's going on, not to cover things up. No, everything is good, every emotion that surfaces in me, positive or negative. Only the question is, what do I do about it? And here's the point. Do I know to take what is revealed to me, in me, a great gap or a great connection, it doesn't matter what, and to take it into a greater connection, meaning to leverage it, to take that situation which is revealed to me, in me, inside of me, and to use it as fuel for me and for the people around me, because it's the same thing, and to take one step forward towards the goal. This is why I'm asking, who asked that? Rudy. Rudy from Paris. So, do I know it? Do I feel it? And what do I do about it?
And the truth is that Baal HaSulam writes, and I'll read it maybe, this means that there are things in the world, in the concealment, which have come with the reason to deviate a person from the path of straight, from which he is deviated from sanctity, rejected from sanctity, meaning all the pictures that I see in the world. If Baal HaSulam is telling us that the final correction, the complete state of completion which I need to reach to direct my perception of reality, my free choice, where I will find my happiness, where development is, where the complete contact with the Creator is to feel one reality alone. There's none else besides Him, and He is good that does good. And if I don't feel that, then I need to ask myself, why am I not yet in that? And to be sorry for that. I don't know where I get the sorrow from, because at the moment I'm imagining a student is sitting there so intellectual, yeah, it's nice, and so on. All of a sudden you start getting an attitude towards this, that it becomes important to me. And then he says, and the benefit from the rejections is that through them a person receives a need and a complete desire for the Creator to help him, since he sees that otherwise he is lost. So when does this whole game begin? This big game begins from the moment in which I enter myself into the environment. In our situation, of course, it's in the Facebook and the connections between us. I'm going into several other Facebooks to different groups. I see, let's say in the Italian group, there's an environment. They talk with each other, they relate, they give importance to each other. I'm truly starting to feel there's a good grasp there, a good perception. And then, especially against the new focus in my life, the environment, this group of students, there I start to feel all of a sudden actions of the Creator upon me, those rejections. And we call them, these rejections we call disturbances or states. And what is an obstacle or a disturbance in general? When I enter into the group, I define something new. I want in this group to discover the connection between us, and there to discover the Creator as good, that does good, and that He is one. That's where I want to reveal it. And towards that, all of a sudden, my whole life begins to organize in such a way that all of a sudden I can't see this. I don't manage to see this. Where? Towards that group. Oh, there's wars there. My life is once I'm in this, and for 1 second, everything simply erases. And all of a sudden, I don't know, they're starting to, God forbid, I'm fired from my job, and all my thoughts are in that. And the cops stopped me, and what? Every little thing erases everything for me. And the more I try to create this importance, yes, and we always take the example that what keeps me in connection, if I were to love someone, or if a mother at work, she's there with her boss, and God forbid she's got a sick son at home, her mind is on him, even though she's engaged in all kinds of other actions. No matter what, if I had that importance, my thought would be always on that environment, about the Creator, about the connection between everyone.
So Kiako from Portugal is asking, how do we strengthen the right, and how do we use the left correctly? Many are asking that. It's interesting. During the lesson, they're asking exactly according to those stages. Erika is asking, where is the freedom of choice?
Wonderful. So Tiago is pretty advanced. He's already talking about left and right, yes? But only one thing. The more right now we have come to a different stage. Thus far, we talked about an environment as the study, the books, the reading, the seeing of the lessons as much as possible to enter this into our lives. Today we're already talking about an additional component which is in the environment, which is called my study group. Those people which have a longing, like me, to discover the purpose of life. That becomes the new focus. And then, towards this thing, if I enter myself more and more into connection with these people, I begin to notice, just like we talked earlier about exiting my vessel, I start to notice that only towards this I start having disturbances in life. And the more I enter, more and more I begin to see, even furthermore, things that are irrational. There are disturbances at different levels. There are disturbances at the level of still, vegetative, animate, and also in speaking level. What does this mean? I'll give you an example. Once, a few years ago, I don't remember how many, I went to lesson at night. I had about 3 miles walking distance to go walking. So I open up, and what happens to the door? Crazy rain. A disturbance at the level of inanimate. So understand, it's not some kind of state. It's all in my perception, right? That's clear. Luckily,
Moshe didn't have a car then, not even bicycles.
Yes, and that's excellent. It was wonderful. And I start to ask myself a few good times. Should I go? Should I go outside? There's rain. Is it worthwhile? I feel it's like crazy rain. It's like a shower. There's like rivers going down the streets. And I make a decision. And later I understand that it's thanks to the connection I have with my friends and that they thought about me. And I wear a big raincoat above me and I start walking. I take about 10 steps. About 10 steps later,
A dog.
oh, you're advancing with the degrees? No, the rain stops and I take it off of me. And I understand that the the reason of this disturbance is not to truly disturb here, but it's like an angel. It's like a force that's being sent to me. What is the desire, and what can I do with it? How can I overcome it? There are many. Do you have some other examples?
Esperanza from Sevilla is asking, do we get help from above, angels, as you're saying? Is there something here that is leading us from above?
Then specifically through these disturbances, sorry for being lengthy here, but just because of these disturbances, I start to identify, especially because I want to go out towards the connection with the group of students, where my first semester friends, I start to see those forces that are seemingly against that, especially by me overcoming, and thanks to the importance that I have from being with the friends, even more towards the importance and even more towards the connection between us, I start identifying that the Creator himself, as we say, wants to build that desire in me and to build the connection between me and him. And there are disturbances that I don't know, just so we understand, all the disturbances were meant for one thing. First of all, a disturbance is only in relation with our connection. That's what we discover later on. All the rest of the things are not disturbances. In the beginning, it seems like, oh, I was fired, life is hard. Oh, that's a disturbance. And you'll see, we all think like that.
No, this story is truly miraculous. We've been studying for quite a while, and we've been through many states. There is an important saying: there is none wiser as the experience. That too is a verse by Kabbalists. And pay attention what it means. The wisdom is acquired through an experience. Perhaps there are people very sharp, very intellectual among you, and also very sensitive, who understand and feel. But the biggest tip for this path is persistence, because you need a certain period of time. You need to go through a certain period of time so that you will accumulate yourself with sufficient opposite states, where from these many opposite states on the one hand and many opposite states on the left side, I will be able to generate some line, some perception, some anchor. Later on, we also understand that it happens to us naturally, if I follow Kabbalist advices, that this middle line which I generate is inside the environment, inside the friends, inside the books, it's inside the teacher. It cannot be separated from all that.
These entrances and exits are what this article is talking about, actually, right?
Yeah, I drew it here. I will try to explain it schematically. If the point is in the heart is revealed to us in the beginning of the way, and we are really, really excited and enthusiastic, and we feel that now we have here, we touch here a godly wisdom, and we have finally found the purpose of life, all of a sudden we start receiving some rejection. Puck, left. That will be the left side, that will be the right, left and right. And then what do we have to do? We need to understand that if now I connect or make a better connection inside my environment, then I receive an ability. Inside this place there is light in the connection between us.
Environment, what environment?
Environment of the points in the hearts, points like myself. If now I connect to them a little bit stronger through Facebook and the environment I live in, well, the Creator had arranged for me. Don't be too clever. Don't start establishing groups. Wherever I am, probably that's the best place for me. And these are the means in which I can work. What happens then? There is light here in the connection between us, these 2-3 points in the hearts. And then if I'm working on strengthening that connection in a practical way, what does it mean? Now I have received, now I don't feel like it, but what do? I write a post against what I feel about how this path and what I have learned in the lesson, and a post I read written by another friend, it arises positive emotions in me, and I do it against reason, artificially. It's like a game. Then you will see what happens. Magic. Oops. I get an angle to the right to strengthen the right, as was said before. And then what happens? Again, I lean to the left. Again, rejection. And then again, I strengthen the connection between us even more. And everybody are doing the same way mutually. We're all supporting each other. We're strengthening each other. Because if I strengthen just myself, it won't help me. I need mutuality. And out of this mutuality, I will also get the forces to strengthen that connection. And then I receive an additional strengthening to go the way of Kabbalah, even against the opinion of the world and so on. And again, I receive rejection. Again, I strengthen myself. Again, rejection. Again, I strengthen myself. And see what happens here. I create such a gap, but that gap is what is called, this is what brings me a need and a complete desire for the Creator Himself to help me. Meaning eventually, by this great gap that I'm building between the rejections and strengthening inside the environment, I receive a complete desire and need for the Creator Himself, that He will come, that force, and will help me to be in this state where I feel Him, I'm cleaved to Him, I'm directed to Him constantly above all disturbances, because I feel that I don't have the strength to do it only through the environment. I need Him inside the environment.
Wait a minute, Bola from Italy is asking me a very important question. If the right and the left that you just drawn here, are they parallel, or do you have to like solve problems in the left and then go to the right? This is exactly what Amit has drawn here, and my azimuth is to define between us in our Facebook group here, Paolo and Erica and everyone, I define a new direction in reality. What is it? That we agree now between us, that we're creating such an environment between us, which is called, with such importance, which is called, there's none else besides Him. If we create such a thing, the first disturbance that we receive, it could be rain, it could be all of a sudden a friend that says, what are you studying this thing? Run away, it's nonsense. Look how important things there is in life. You can earn things and succeed. There could be thoughts within me. Each and every one of these disturbances could be on all the different levels. If I don't have a group which holds me consciously towards this and protects me, what is it protecting me? It's saying to me, look, arrange your whole life around the fact that you have a connection with the Creator. He is sending the disturbance, the foreign thoughts, and why is He sending? Because He wants a connection with you. How could you have a connection with Him? By connecting to you. So every single disturbance, everything that rejects me from this state here, which is called sanctity, meaning the corrected connection between us, which is called sanctity, or in other words, bestowal, anything that rejects, I actually use it for this something that I do in order to go out of myself even more towards the friends.
Hold on a minute. From Argentina is asking something simple. So I need to build a new environment, a new group, where we will really care for the spiritual development of each other, because the people around me, they really don't care about it.
Frank, we are talking about this environment with the people with the points in the heart. With them, I can build an environment. And why? Because there, the world, the rest of the world, doesn't matter who, are discovered in me as forces which draw me outwards, meaning I'm in connection with them. I could be a husband and wife, a friend, doesn't matter what, all is okay. But in relation with this environment, they won't give me, there's none else besides Him. And only from here I can, against everything that is revealed to me in life, to discover the source, that it's from him. The moment I relate correctly to this disturbance, and upon it, just like in an assembly line where something comes along, opa, this is from the Creator, what is it of service to me for? And then I discovered that it was meant for one thing, more connection between us. I start to discover that every disturbance, everything that is sent my way, is only meant for one thing: to come to the center of the group and there to discover the connection with the Creator. Meaning it's an exercise, and without this exercise, without the shattering and the disturbance, I would not discover Him. I couldn't have a connection with the Creator. This is the whole thing that we talk about, which is the concealment. And when I am persistent in this, and I get some experience, after all, I become some experience this certain incidents in life, and all of a sudden I start to get rejections and relationships with friends, and even the most veteran, experienced people, the Creator plays with them and puts His hand inside this cauldron of our desires and spins us till the final state. But that's where it's already in consciousness. But I'm telling you, without the help of the group, he sees that he is lost. And slowly, after a while, a person starts to understand what spirituality is. It's not just like I thought, that I come here and I just jump outside of my body, some, I don't know, see-through image comes through me, and someone else thinks maybe you walk through walls or some horror movie, I don't know. Spirituality is that I go out towards the connection between us, towards the quality of bestowal. The quality of bestowal is spirituality. And then I'm already proceeding and saying, I start finding a new focus in life. We, not I, because bestowal is not towards me. I want to be the bestowal. That's an absurd. It's a paradox. But rather I'm in a reality in which I want for them, my friends here. All of a sudden I get a desire and a need for them to be in this, for them to attain this. But as long as I'm not in this, then I hear, okay, bestowals, what they tell me, and it's nice. You hear about this intellectually, I ask questions about it, but I do everything in order to persist and to be in this thing. And then new states begin where it seems to me like bestowal is not important, and states in which bestowal seems to me like it's the most important thing in the world. And I start in relation with my attitudes towards the group to measure the states which Baal HaSulam talks about, which are called ascents, descents, spiritual states, the influence of the light, the parting of the light, and only in relation with this new focus point, a new reality begins to open before me, a new focus for reality. And this connects us, and we'll even do it here, to what we talked about in the previous lessons, which is the circle. Because where do I discover this group? Where group? What is this group? So in our situation, come on, Frank, you have the Facebook group, that's your environment. You don't need another environment. That is your environment. Those who have the points in the hearts, you're with them. But when I'm already with them, and I enter already, and I start to be with them in a relationship of a circle, how does this help me reveal the Creator? There's the world, the group, I don't know, everything is kind of obscured.
אתה שואל אותי.
You're asking me.
זה מסיים ומביא את השאלות ככה.
He always brings me such questions.
שאלות שאנחנו נעליהן, מצד שני...
We will answer, but on the other hand, this is something I always said that we need to leave it for them for the end of the lesson. Yeah. Really
It's like
so.
a teaser.
Yeah, truly is. Okay, so let's do it this way.
תראו, אני...
Look, I confuse Yoram. Okay, Yoram. Look over here. In my profession, and Moshe also, it so happened that both of us are working in photography.
I'm in the degree of inanimate, you're in the degree of animate.
Yeah, we can also invert that. And by the way, Rav Lightman, he also used to do it back then, and he likes to give many examples about it. There's something in the roots, probably, that that echoes in our heart real well. So I will try to give an example about this whole thing of a circle. Surely you all held a camera in your hands at some point, right? Now, before you push the button, you need to do a few things. One, to make sure that the object that you're filming is in focus. Two, or even before that, doesn't really matter, that it has the proper light, so that it will have the proper light. So how do we do that? We have this sensor that helps us to measure things. So if here we have this frame, and this is the reality of our life, and in this frame I see children, a woman, I see a job, here's my boss.
I'll show him this later.
And there's a trip. We took a hike to the mountains, and different things that happen in my life, and many things which are pleasant and unpleasant. On top of everything, I need to clothe this compass we spoke of in the beginning of the lesson, which is called "There's None Else Besides Him." And to have the focus with Him, as Rosie asked, and as few of the friends were saying during this lesson, the none else besides Him does not exist. He's abstract, I have no grip of Him. How can I comprise Him from then? I can comprise Him from those points in the heart with whom I create a circle. What is a circle? The circle is the relationship that I want to have towards those points in the heart. Even if I don't have it, I want to have such a relationship. What is that relationship, that attitude? Like the Creator, so tell me, Kabbalists, is good and benevolent. He's good and benevolent to the righteous and the wicked. He's equal for everyone. He's perfect. He's loving, without conditions, without calculations. As He is, I also want to be with respect to them, and they with respect to me. We're in the same path, we read the same things, and this is how we generate between us mutuality in the inner relationship between us. Meaning, first of all, we're all equal. Because basically, we're all points in the hearts, picked by the Creator. What does it mean that He picked us, pulled us out? This is a Shimo that was awakened for her, for you, for me. Awakened. Why was it awakened? Because this is how we're built like. So what if I am a billionaire and Moshe is poor and penniless? So what? There's no difference between us. You understand? It cuts off everything. Culture, position, socioeconomical status, all those things are just clothings. I don't want to see them at all. This is why the Facebook group, for instance, this is something great, awesome. Through it, in an easier way, I can penetrate and to focus only on your inner point, on your longing. What do I want? I want to see everyone as equal, men, women, points in the hearts. And with this equal relationship, I generate a circle between us. It's a symbolical thing, meaning I treat everyone equally, like radius. It's equal for everyone. So it's like I'm in a circle. And even more so, I also want to feel that I'm inside everyone. I want to be included with them, to feel the longing of each and everyone, of everyone who asked lessons during the lesson, for instance, Here, whenever we prepare ourselves to the lesson, we really, really long for your questions, because every such question, we want to feel it in our bones, how it lives inside of us, and from that question to discover the upper worlds. And the same thing for every post, for every reaction, for every little thing, I want to feel the same way. If I stabilize such a correct attitude, then what happens, and then I will give it back to you, what happens is that I get this stain, the center of the group. There is an emotional formation, like this inner capsula, which is like the lakmus paper. It's like my campus. It's like the eyebrows of the lens. Now something unpleasant happens. I don't know. I almost had a car accident. Where's the group? Where are the friends? Why am I here for? What am I doing? What would they say? How they would have helped me? This way I'm looking for them. I want to feel them in me. And all of a sudden, through them, I discover, it comes from him. Why? What does he want? How does he want? But it cannot happen without them. And then we start understanding that this whole reality, this whole theater, everything comes from him, so that I will collect you, all of you, into one place, to him. I'm collecting all of you to him. And you? You also collect us to him. We're helping each other to collect ourselves into one point.
You talked about a certain equality which you create artificially here, and everyone enters into like one level and allow the light to flow between us, seemingly. So there are questions here, like John asks, why can't I actually reveal the Creator with people that are anyway similar to me, let's say with my family, my friends? Why do I have to actually search for people that are so distant from me, so different than me, in order to build this common field? Look, John, we talked about the fact that in reality, that there is a reality which was created, which is surrounded with a simple light of Ein Sof, only there's no feeling in this. We will call this, for the time being, I. I need to reach the perception of there's none else besides him. But before me, John, there's a world with all the disturbances and phenomena, and I don't perceive this. And I don't feel this. Where's the Creator, like you asked? This whole world exists and is made upon the quality of bestowal. Meaning, if I want to see the action of the Creator in every place in the world, what do I need? I need a lens, by the way, from the world of photography, that will focus all these incidents through the quality of bestowal. I will see them through the roots. What is this lens? Just as Amit drew a minute ago. It's the group. Why the group is the group the lens? Because in it there are all the points in the heart, the most valuable desire upon earth, the desire to connect and reveal the Creator and adhere to him, so that by doing so we will bring him contentment, so it will all be for his sake. Through the group, I begin to look at the world, at my life in reality, at the world, and I begin to see and understand. We will develop this. You will see every lesson how Rav Leitman directs us to the perception that all that occurs, we are, it's unbelievable. You'll read this in all the writings of the Kabbalists. We are responsible in our connection or in the separation between us. We, those with the point in the heart, which are the head in the common soul, we influence everyone. 1 millimeter of getting closer between us influences everyone. Meaning all the cases in my life, all that's happening outside of me, at home, it doesn't matter where, we start to see in this the function of there's none else besides him, where the connection is between us. In order to see this thing even better, I need to penetrate the center of the group. And this is what Amit said, the equal connection and relation between everyone. The moment I prefer Amit because he has millions less than Sharon, because he appears this way, and I don't he doesn't have so much money. That's a deviation. I'm already not in the center of the focus. This focus is exactly by including everyone equally. We have this thing here, which is called, we'll make a picture here like this, here, the center of the group. And when I'm in the center of the group, emotionally, I live this and I see my whole life and reality through it. This focuses for me through all the connections between us. There's none else besides him. I begin to see the Creator and his action in a line which goes direct through all the worlds, all of life, all the group, and all the cases, directly, so that I will reveal him.
So John is asking, actually, this is the environment building this thing for me. It helps me to see the world correctly.
Right. The environment is the writings of the Kabbalists, it's my friends, it's my teacher, it's Rav, and later it's all of us together, the actions that we do towards the world, and this whole thing, we want only one thing, to reveal the connection with the Creator. And then upon us operates a special influence, which is called the reforming light, which is what corrects our perception and helps us unite all these cases. How does it help? Well, as we said, through rejections. Can we maybe read something that really our friends will get something from Shamati? So I'm starting from the words, not only does not advance in his work, meaning how does the Creator help us? Is through opposite states, through which we will specifically enter more into the group, and then through that, what do we need? The help of the Creator, the reforming light. So not only does he not advance in his work, but he sees that he's retreating, meaning from Lo Lishma he does not have the force to maintain the Torah and the precepts, and that always in him the broken is more than what stands, meaning the descents are much worse than the ascents, and he doesn't see that the end of these states is like that, and he will remain outside of sanctity because he sees that even the tip of the yod he cannot cape, only by overcoming above reason, but he is not always capable of overcoming. What will be the end? And then he comes to the decision. At last this moment comes, that there is no one that can help other than the Lord himself, the Creator himself. And this causes for him to define in his life a true demand for the Creator to open his eyes and heart and bring him truly closer to adherence with the Creator eternally. Accordingly, it's found that all the rejections he had were all from the Creator, meaning not because he wasn't okay, the person, that he didn't have the ability to overcome, but those people who want to truly come closer to the Creator, and so that one would not suffice with a little, meaning that he doesn't remain in the factor of a small child without reason. I'm going to skip again a few lines. And this is especially if truly this person has a true desire, then this person gets help from above. And he is always shown, what's the help? He is always shown how he is not okay in the current state, meaning that he is sent thoughts and opinions that are against the work. Why? This is the help. What kind of help is this? This is so that he will see that he is not in completion and wholeness with the Creator. And as much as he overcomes, he always sees how he is in a state which is far from sanctity, from the rest of the Creator, of the workers. He's looking at life, he sees the nice people, that they feel that they're in perfection with the Creator.
This is what he sees.
Yes, he sees. So he sees he has claims and demands, he doesn't understand the Creator. Why are you making my life like this? Why aren't you giving me bestowal? Why all the disasters? Just like all the friends asked here. And he cannot justify the actions of the Creator because he's trying to justify, he's trying to grasp there's no one else besides him that is good and benevolent. He can't. And this causes him pain. Why? why he is not perfected with the Creator until he comes to a state in which he feels that he has no part in sanctity, meaning he's seemingly in the opposite state, and though he gets some awakening from above, which enlivens him for a while, he immediately falls to the place of lowness, where he feels like there's no point in it, there's no flavor in this. But this is the reason which causes him to come to a recognition that only the Creator can help him and bring him truly closer. The whole purpose of the whole path that we're going to go through, in awakening, and all of a sudden like this, and the disturbance, and all of a sudden something happens, and all of a sudden I want, and all of a sudden not, a million states, if I hold on with my teeth to the group, to the study, to the environment, it becomes an amazing adventure. I all of a sudden discover the Creator, what is the attitude towards me of what He wants to develop the one true vessel, the most important thing. What is a vessel? A desire. For what? I want to bestow. I want the connection with Him. Why? For Him. That is the whole reason for existence, the concealment, the revelations, and everything. What? Only for this thing.
I want to connect it to our first lesson, kind of summarize. I feel this summary of this lesson and this semester. You remember the first lesson we spoke about happiness, and we said that there are two inclinations, very clear inclinations, very simple, which we can see throughout the dome of civilization. One of them is tendency of the development of the ego, of the will to receive, the development of the ego, the individualism, how a person develops personally, and the other one is the development of the relationship between us, or the revelation of how we're all interdependent. And the none else besides him breaks down very gently, very tenderly, and with much love. It gives a person the ability to cope with the revelation of these two inclinations. Because when we're talking about it, it's nice to hear that, yeah, the individual grows and I'm all will to receive. We don't understand what it means yet. We don't feel how much every action, every thought, every desire, every speak, every behavior of ours now, and that was before, everything is for my self-benefit on the expense of someone else. We cannot accept it, we cannot agree to it. That's one. Now, two, we cannot get and understand how much we're all interconnected, how much we're all one, how much if I do this, then necessarily also Moshe, Masha, all of you are drawn this way, the same thing. If I have a bad thought, then that thought runs around everyone. We can't get it. We have two ways to understand it. Either through the path of sufferings, which is through severe beatings that humanity, God forbid, will go through. It starts going through it. Worlds, great starvation, floods, blows in the inanimate and the vegetative degrees. And God forbid, we are not there yet in the speaking and in the animate and speaking degrees. What's the benefit of the rejections? What's the benefit of the blows? That we will develop, we will come up with a true desire and need to turn to Him. We can come to it in such a hard way where people will start telling themselves, okay, I don't know what's happening. I have no idea what's going on. I just want to live like an animal, simply like that. And I have nowhere I can turn to. I don't believe to no one or nothing, not leaders, nobody. I believe only in the Creator, but not as a religious guy. It's from a true, genuine desire. And the other way is the path of Kabbalah. If we take that there's none else besides Him, this is our compass. And it will give us internally the ability to understand how much all of me is a will to receive, and how much I am dependent on my environment. I simply am so dependent on my environment, and I do it consciously, internally, without experiencing blows on my flesh. I discovered the evil, but I'm happy about the revelation of this evil, because at the same time, immediately, I also feel the remedy and the ability to receive a correction for it.
That's exactly what Marco is asking. Is this not, there's none else besides him, the move from the path of suffering to the path of Kabbalah? Exactly. I have to add, we have only one more minute, but I want to add here, there's none else besides him is not the actions and the hands and feet that the world and we have been trying to do for years already. There's none else besides him with everything that is given, with all the actions that are around me, inside me, are already constants. The I, where I am in this whole story, is that point which only defines that attitude, that relationship towards creation, towards the Creator and towards life. And by doing so, this point longs for the Creator to change its nature, for it to perceive this, to have this concept, for the Creator to stop cursing the Creator in the way that all this life is a disaster. I want to see you, the one force, to grasp this, to perceive it, and therefore just understand that all that we usually, we're eating ourselves up, I did bad, I'm a bad person, what did I do? It's not. There's none else besides him. That belongs to there. And it's the most important attitude towards life. Remove from yourself that self-beating that, I did something bad or towards that, but towards the future, we're now defining for ourselves a new direction, a new azimuth, into the friends, into the group, that study group, to discover there's none else besides him.
And also in the path itself now. Okay, we can talk about it for hours, but
the translators will kill us.
But this thing with the past is very important. We have to close that there's none else besides him on the past, present, and future.
I think we're going to use the questions that we got in the lesson and during the sessions of questions to develop this, because this is the most important thing. Every convention, when we have a congress, Rav does a lesson about this. A last word. Look, dear students, in about 2 weeks, our second semester begins. We're sending you already tomorrow. Sign up registration papers. Of course, it is free of charge. I know there were rumors that are coming out that it was going to cost money. It is free of charge. That should be clear. And register. And we will begin to go up and up more and more, and that's it. I don't have what more to add. Our time has already ended.
I feel that this whole lesson was for someone I really identified with, Jessica from Spain, who asked in the beginning of the lesson, if I feel so bad during the lesson, that I really feel that it pulls me out of my life, from the concern from those who are close to me. Is it the Creator talking to me, or...
Slowly, Jessica. That's it. We're going to see you next week. We have a very special meeting, a summarizing meeting. Also about there's none else besides him. We're going to bring here some some friends that are very, I don't know how to say, maybe sanctified or holy, that as far as I'm concerned, they're in a very advanced state, and together we're going to do something called a workshop. This workshop, and we're going to enter your questions into the circle, and we're going to be in a very special state.
You can already send us your questions that you want to solve.
The ones that are unsolved.
Yeah, questions about there's none else besides him, but the questions which you don't get an answer for during a few weeks, we will clarify them.
Thank you all very much, and hold on to there's none else besides him all week long.
And you have homeworks to do.